Okay, so the ankle and knee complex. Now, it's important to understand when we talk about this sort of myofascial release or this movement optimization, what it is we're actually trying to do. We are not trying to roll out knots in sore muscle tissue, okay? That's really what we're not trying to do. You'll see a lot of guys in the gym and you'll see them using foam rollers and you'll see them using balls, and then you see them as they go through the sequence, you'll see this sort of thing, where they're just rolling down, or they've got that roller on top of the ITB and they're rolling it down the side of the leg, okay? That's not what we're trying to do. What will happen most of the time in those sort of circumstances is you'll actually aggravate the muscle tissue, or you'll get a very short-term change, okay? That's not long-lasting. So what we're going to try and do here is utilize a spiky ball or a firm ball if we can. Now this can be used with a tennis ball, it can be used with a cricket ball, it can be used with any sort of ball that's got a firmness into it. I'm using this one because it's a special sort of massage type ball that's going to help me to get into these certain areas. Now, you've got to understand with this, what we're trying to do is we're trying to speak to your neural system. Like, your neural system is your master controller of your whole system. It tells everything to fire and it tells everything to stop firing as well. Now, when we've got pain or when we've got tension in certain areas, it's down to that neural system. We want to chat to that neural system. We want to help it to release. So a lot of the stuff that we're going to do, we're actually going to go to what we call the attachment point or origin and insertion points, where these muscles actually connect to the skeletal system, okay? Because we want to allow, through those connection points, that release of the actual muscular tissue itself, so we start to get that optimization. So you'll see with a lot of these techniques, it's actually about speaking to the neural system. It's actually about getting the ankles or the hips or the knees or the lower back or the shoulder, the thoracic spine, better communication. With better communication becomes that, all of a sudden becomes that communication through the kinetic chain, which allows us to perform better and allows us to prevent injury and the metabolism to fire better, and for you to be able to lift more and perform better in your workouts. So I'm just going to move on now, and I'm going to take you guys through all the movements that we're just going to do. So with this ball, now I'm going to come down to the ground. I'm going to put that ball underneath my calf. Now, what I'm doing is I'm coming down towards the bottom here, and I'm just moving the ball around, and I just want to see if there's anything there that's sensitive at all. Now, I want to get onto those real sort of attachment points, okay? So round the bottom, the outside of just the top of that ankle there, where a lot of these systems and connective tissues come in and actually attach. It's there that I'm really looking for anything that's actually happening down there, whether I'm getting any sort of kickback, whether I'm getting any sort of aggravation or pain coming through. And once I find an area here, all I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move the limb. So you can see with my foot here that I'm actually starting to flex that foot backwards and forwards. So flexion and dorsiflexion, so I can actually get the limb moving. So the muscular chain, the chain that's linking right down through the back of that leg, I can actually feel that as I'm moving backwards and forwards. And as you can see, the muscles in the front of the shin and the muscles in the back of my leg are all working at the same time, just to give me that optimization, just so the neural system is getting a lot of feedback and it's actually working through. Now I can already feel that starting to release off, okay? Now there's an important difference here, I hope you can see it, of me actually utilizing the limb and getting the muscular system to fire through its range of motion by flexing and extending my ankle, rather than getting on a sore point, lifting myself up and just rolling down this, okay? It's a much different system. Now, if you find this, you start to get a release here, it starts to feel better, or you find you come a little bit further up, you might find, like for me here, that point there, for me, is particularly sensitive. That's fine, all right? But once you get onto it, okay, just allow the body to rest and to sit, allow it to get used to it, then start with that flexion and extension of the ankle. Again, letting the system fire letting the muscles through that kinetic chain and the opposing muscles fire, so the neural system in the brain can get more feedback, so it can start to release off the attachments, and so you can get better function with it, okay? So that's that ankle complex here. Now what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to move up or across that ankle, to the opposite side, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm just going to see if there's any sensitivity there, especially in and around that attachment point at the bottom. I've just found the spot there, okay? Now all I'm going to do from here is, again, I'm going to keep on that spot, and I'm just going to gently flex and extend the ankle, so the movement of the muscles is up and down, so I'm actually firing the system around it, so I'm actually taking it through its range of motion, so I can get it to give its most amount of release, okay? And that's what we want. We want to speak to the neural system. We want to get it communicating with itself, so we can start to become aware of these areas, so the neural system can start to release them, so we can optimize our function. Now what I would do is, obviously I'll go over to this opposite side, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to find that spot, I'm going to bring it down by its attachment point, I'm going to look there first. When I find a little bit of sensitivity in there, then I'm going to start to flex and extend my ankle, so I can get the kinetic chain firing, so I can communicate to the neural system, so it will release better. All right, so that's how we work through that area, through the lower part, and through that ankle complex to help with that movement optimization in that area. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of mobility moves that you can couple with this to get that optimal function. So now we want to get that extra mobility in through that ankle and knee complex. Now, once you've done some of that release work, these are two mobility exercises that I'm going to show you here that can really help to improve that. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring me close to this wall, all right? Now, from here, I'm going to have both hands on the wall, and I'm going to lean forward with that knee so I can actually touch the wall, all right? So I can touch the wall as I come through, and I can just get that mobility coming through the ankle and the knee. Now, once I've done a couple of repetitions of that, I'm actually going to draw my foot out a little bit, and I'm going to reach that little bit further. Now, what I'm doing is, I've obviously with this back leg, I've got the support as I have with the hands. And as you can see with these, I'm particularly trying to keep the ankle on the ground the entire time. So I'm reaching through and allowing the knee to touch the wall, trying to keep the ankle on the ground the entire time, which is really important. Then I'm going to just draw it back just that little bit more, and then I'm going to look to reach with that ankle and reach with the knee to see whether I can tap that wall, all right? So from here, I'm a little bit too far away there. I can't quite reach it. I'm just going to go back, and I'm just going to work on getting my knee to the wall whilst keeping my heel on that ground. So what you'll find is the more that you do this, you can actually edge your foot back millimeters at a time, and you'll get a deeper and greater range with it as you go. Okay, but it takes just that little bit of time, a little bit of effort of just making sure we do the release work with the ball, and then utilizing this to increase that range of motion through that gastroc complex and through the front of the shin complex as well, through that tib complex, to allow you to be able to reach through and improve that mobility. And now the second thing that we can do with this, I'm just going to bring a step in here so I can show you this one as well. So all we do here is place that down on the ground. I'm going to come up, and from here I'm going to keep my foot on the back. I'm going to keep one foot on the front of the step to make sure that I'm actually got that weight distribution, and I'm not going to drop off and flip the box over. Then from here, I'm just going to allow the ankle just to drop down. Okay, so I've just got the ball of the foot on top of the box. I'm gently dropping that down, allowing that sort of stretch sensation to happen through the calf at the back. And then from there, I'm driving it up to the top, and then I'm letting it drop back down again. And I can really feel that pulling right the way through the back of the calf complex into the knee. And then I'm contracting the muscle itself and then allowing that to just drop once again and get a little bit further down each time. Now, obviously I do this on both sides just to make sure that I can really get that sensation. And you'll find that you'll do this 2 or 3 times coupled with the release work, and you'll really start to feel a difference in that area, okay? A difference in the tension, a difference in any pain that you might be experiencing, and a difference in the function of the muscle and that muscle system itself. A massive improvement.